reliance on artificial intelligence is born out of a fear, out of a terror. And we're going to do the wrong thing and we're going to screw something up. But every time that you save by using ChatGPT, what do you do with that time? So now you have, say, 2 hours a day. What do you do with that time? Are you using it in a way that builds you up? Are you using it in a way that just kind of turns you towards more technology? Are you using it for just entertainment? Because you can find out what's important to people by seeing where they direct their energies and direct their times. If you see somebody who directs as much energy and time as possible towards entertainment, then you know what the goal of their life is, to be entertained. And if the goal of your life is to be entertained, then obviously that's a distraction from life. It's a distraction from what you could accomplish and do. So I guess my question is, what is it that you're running away from in real life such that you wish to be distracted by entertainment? Because every minute you spend in some other fantasy world, you're not spending in this one. And that means you're not building yourself up. And every minute you're elsewhere, the people who are creating those realities are building them to make them more addictive, more interactive. But I get it. I do get it. I mean, I'm gonna offer you two possibilities. One world in which people know you, you're successful, your efforts are rewarded, and you can almost feel like a god and you can even do godlike things. Or your minimum wage job where you're not respected, you feel like you're invisible, nobody cares about you. And for some of you even, many of you even, you're even told that your very nature itself is toxic. And everybody else is great, but there's something wrong with you just for being what you are. That's not a hard choice for a lot of people. Do you want to live in a reality that hates you? Or do you want to live in a reality where you can be whatever you want to be? And it's alluring. It is, but it's also a problem. But in the end, you're going to learn how, not just how to do calculus, because oftentimes we're so compartmentalized in our visions. Like we think that the purpose of taking, for example, I've already asked you, what's the purpose of this class right here that we're taking? Think about how you might answer that. I'll ask you again in just a minute. But with regards to something like calculus or trigonometry, what's the purpose in taking that? It's not just because you're going to learn trigonometry. It's not just because you're going to learn calculus. And let's face it, how many people do you know who are adults who sit there and say, man, if I just knew calculus, I could solve all of my life's problems right now. And I missed that thing in school. It's not that, it's something else. First off, can you use calculus in real life? I don't know. And why don't I know? Because I don't know calculus. I wonder if I knew calculus, how many times a day I would sit there and go, hey, I can use calculus to fix this problem. But one thing I do know is that if I learned calculus, I learned a process of effort, struggle, perseverance, success, and ultimately some self-confidence to believe in myself, to believe in my abilities to solve problems in real life. It isn't just about calculus. It's about learning how to solve problems. It's about learning how to find solutions to things, not necessarily just mathematical problems. And I think that's one of the struggles that we have. We focus so much on, when am I ever going to need to know how to use calculus? Well, you might not, but what you might have to do is know how to solve problems. How about this? Do you think that the people who develop ChatGPT know mathematics? Yeah, you'd have to. You would have to. You'd have to. In order to be a programmer, you'd have to. There's a language because there's a difference between being able to just understand coding and then being able to actually code and then actually being able to code at a higher level. That's a higher level thinking, and that's what these mathematical systems develop. It's higher level thinking. It's not just mathematical thinking, but it's higher level thinking. And so it's one of the things that actually creeps me out about artificial intelligence is that I don't have high level mathematics, and the people who designed it, who have made it their life's goal to put all of us out of work, know mathematics, and I don't. Now I know that they know something I don't know, and that means that they have an ability to control something that affects my life that I can't control. And that's creepy to me. So it's worth knowing math even just for that, yeah, 100%. And that's exactly where I'm going with it. We become dependent on this. Like one of those silly loops I was thinking about was, we're gonna read a sonnet in this class. Yeah, I'm trying to think if it's this class or not. All right, I won't tell you that one. We're gonna read a sonnet in this class. You can go into ChatGPT, I assume, and say, interpret Sonnet 17 by Pablo Neruda, and it'll give you an interpretation. And I'm thinking of this really silly loop where you're in a class and you have to, and you're assigned, you have to write a sonnet. And you don't want to write one, so you ask ChatGPT, write me a sonnet. So it does. And then the follow-up assignment, you have to interpret your own sonnet. So then you have ChatGPT interpret its own sonnet, and you have like this circle thing. And you never learn how to do those things, and you never learn how to write a sonnet. You never learn how to interpret one. And again, if you were to ask someone, why would I ever have to know how to write a sonnet? It's not that you have to know how to write a sonnet, which, by the way, you might be really good at it. I do know that whoever the great poets of the next century are going to be people who tried writing these things. That's how they become. But it's more like it's struggling through something, especially something with language that's difficult, and trying to express it in a new way that gives you that skill set. It's not the skill set of writing a sonnet, it's the skill set of practicing using language very well. And I just had this idea like of people who can't write text messages back and forth, so they use ChatGPT to send a text message to somebody, and then they put that into their own to send a message back. And you basically have two people who are just using AI to text back and forth, and they're never really getting to anything real about themselves. And thinking, wow, so ChatGPT will someday date itself, and then the rest of everybody else is gonna be sitting in their parents' basements covered in Cheeto dust and watching, playing video games. So it's not just the process of getting work done. If that's the goal, well then yeah, AI can do that. But don't be surprised when the whole purpose of AI is to get work done, and then it does your work for you, and you think, wow, this is so easy. So then I guess the question turns to you, especially from an employer, well then why do I need you? I can just use AI to replace you. And you think about what jobs can AI not do in the future? Can AI be, can AI be a doctor? It's actually one of the first places we're seeing it emerge. I can take a blood test from you, plug all of those numbers and all of your data into an AI algorithm, which will then tell me how to diagnose you. Humans make mistakes. AI can tell you there's a 99.8% chance that this is the case. There's a 78.5% chance that this is the case. And AI will do a much better job of narrowing it down and telling you what the patient has than a human can do. Can AI run a company, be a CEO, make those decisions? Yep. Yeah. Can AI, make a pop song? We already know that we already know that it does. It can't play drums though. AI drums have no soul. Can it do what I do and teach? You guys are supposed to say no. Yeah, a shaved monkey can come up here and do what I do, man. And that's actually one of the really funny areas, because I think, I don't know, like if it could, why hasn't it already? Because we tried doing it during the COVID years. We tried to go online. And then we have like, the meme about the Indian guy who can teach you anything in like 30 seconds, right? So then it seems like that should have taken over by now, but probably eventually. Here's the interesting thing. Can AI fix your car? It can diagnose it, but to actually go in and do the repair itself, probably not. Probably not. Can AI fix your plumbing? Can AI fix your electrical work? No, probably not. And so it's these technical fields. So as much as we say like, AI is gonna take over everything, it's gonna take over all those really high level things, everything that requires brain work that we've always said, like, work smarter, not harder. By the way, you should work both, smart and hard. But it's gonna take over all those brain things. And it's also gonna take over understand what I mean, this isn't an insult, like the brainless things. Like I can walk up to a kiosk now and order something at McDonald's. I don't need a human being. And that's just, electrical, but by and large, all the low-level stuff is going to be taken over as well. It's those mid-level things that, at least for now, are going to be very difficult. But it alarms me because I think about this in terms of why people want their jobs to be replaced. Like, how would I feel if the government came along, God, I hate saying that, if the state were to come along and say, well, you're not going to be teaching anymore because we have AI that can do that. But what we will do is we'll give you, a certain amount of money every year, and then you don't have to work anymore. And there are people, I'm sure, who would sit there and go, whoa, that's awesome, free money. But if you love your job, you'd sit there and go, wait a second, but that's my whole reason for getting up out of bed in the morning, is to go teach. Yeah, well, now you can go paint. I have failed to develop as a painter. Yeah, what are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do with your life? And that's the terror of it. And the problem is it's so alluring. It's so easy. Before the school year started, I attended a professional development thing with teachers. They were talking about the uses of artificial intelligence, and it creeped the hell out of me. It wasn't teachers from this school, but there were teachers from other schools in the district who were saying that they use ChatGPT to send emails to parents. Like, you can't, you're an English teacher. You're supposed to know how to use language. You can't write a letter to a parent. And I asked that. I said, wait, that's your thing. You're supposed to be able to use language. And they said, yeah, but just the way people are today, they're so sensitive, and you have to be worried about saying the wrong thing. And I thought, wow, I think that kind of encapsulates a lot of it. Not for everybody, but for a lot of it. That our reliance on artificial intelligence is born out of a fear, out of a terror. And we're going to do the wrong thing, and we're going to screw something up. I don't remember, was it in this class where I was talking about little kids and how you shouldn't interrupt them when they're playing? Yeah, and I think about this. I feel like the people who develop these things and love these things were probably raised by people who stood over them and solved all of life's problems for them. So we grow up and we end up always looking for someone to solve all of life's problems for us. How do we make the best decision for a corporation? AI. How about how do we diagnose patients better? AI. How do we do anything that we need that we're worried about our own abilities to do? You don't see professional athletes who are worried about robots taking over their professional football. Will we have football someday played by robots? Probably. I imagine so. It'd be pretty cool to see these things just explode everywhere. But I don't know that we'll ever really replace it, because we like seeing what the human capacity to do these incredibly difficult physical things. And so they're not so worried about having to be taken over. It's the people who kind of are always looking for an authority figure or somebody to guide them and direct them, because they're worried about their own abilities that are reliant on this. Why is it that student I was telling you about from last year, why did she turn to ChatGPT? Could she have done the work? Yes. She was just worried she couldn't do it fast enough on time. So she turned to it. So I do say it makes our life easier, but I guess now my question is going to be, and this is the hard one, so if whatever time that you use, whatever time that you save by using ChatGPT or artificial intelligence, what do you do with that time? Is it geared towards, so now it's like, okay, so now you have, say, 2 hours a day. What do you do with that time? Are you using it in a way that builds you up? Are you using it in a way that just kind of turns you towards more technology? Are you using it for just entertainment? Because you can find out what's important to people by seeing where they direct their energies and direct their times. And if you think, if you see somebody who directs as much energy and time as possible towards entertainment, then you know what the goal of their life is, to be entertained. And if the goal of your life is to be entertained, then obviously that's a distraction from life. It's a distraction from what you could accomplish and do. So I guess my question is, what is it that you're running away from in real life such that you wish to be distracted by entertainment? In other words, what is it on this side of reality, this side of the screen, this side of the reality that has you so not believing in yourself, or so terrified, or so not trusting in your own abilities to accomplish great things, such that you just turn and go, this is a better place for me to be? And I have a sense of it. Like, if any of you guys play these online games, the massive online games, I can see why somebody would spend so much time on that. Do you think Elon Musk spends a lot of time on that? Why not? Because he's too busy on this side of reality kicking ass. Do you think that Bill Gates, do you think Warren Buffett, do you think Jeff Bezos, do you think any of these people play these games where they can escape from this reality to go live in an artificial reality? And the answer is no. They're busy developing artificial realities for the rest of people to play in. But that means that they're going to control that reality. And that's because they're too busy kicking ass on this side. And they're designing it, and I say, well, never going to try to be popular. I guess I'll just say what it really is. The winners are very busy trying to develop an alternate reality for the losers to live in. And I don't mean that you're a loser if you play them. What I'm saying is that every minute you play and you spend in that alternate reality, you're not investing in this one. And it's true. And by the way, when I eat dinner, I play games too. While I'm eating dinner, this isn't me saying, I never. But I don't own a television. I never have. The only games I ever play are things I can do mindlessly. And I'm usually watching a YouTube video or something like that while I'm eating, while I'm playing a mindless game, so I can pick stuff up as I go. Because every minute you spend in some other fantasy world, you're not spending in this one. And that means you're not building yourself up. And every minute you're elsewhere, the people who are creating those realities are building them to make them more addictive, more interactive. But I get it. I do get it. I mean, I'm gonna offer you two possibilities. One world in which people know you, you're successful, your efforts are rewarded, and you can almost feel like a god and you can even do godlike things. Or your minimum wage job, where you're not respected, you feel like you're invisible, nobody cares about you, and for some of you even, many of you even, you're even told that your very nature itself is toxic, and everybody else is great, but there's something wrong with you just for being what you are. That's not a hard choice for a lot of people. Do you want to live in a reality that hates you, or do you want to live in a reality where you can be whatever you want to be? And it's alluring. It is, but it's also a problem. Goes back to what Joseph was saying, that we become dependent on it. We become dependent on that alternate reality for our meaning and for our purpose. And that is what makes us a slave to it. And the most insidious part is we don't even know what's happening, man. To us, it's just Thursday, you know? And it's not even like the people who are setting out. I don't know, there's a bunch of mustache twirling villains somewhere in a room saying, oh, we're gonna make them our slaves. They're probably just sitting there going, how do we get more advertising dollars? How do we get more clicks? How do we become more successful in our area? And it's one of those things that just happens. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?
You see that agent